Palace, who has announced more details about the kind of uniform and the clothing that's going to be worn by members of the royal family during these ceremonial events.
Shockwaves rippled through Buckingham Palace as Prince Andrew reportedly stood before senior royals and read out the late Queen's final will. And what followed left everyone speechless. The atmosphere grew tense, emotions ran high, and whispers of betrayal filled the Grand Hall. Sources say certain names were mentioned, others shockingly omitted, and one unexpected twist changed everything. Even the most seasoned royals weren't prepared for what Her Majesty had left behind. So, what secrets did the Queen's will finally reveal? Today, we uncover the stunning truth. The night Buckingham Palace held its breath, Buckingham Palace had never felt so heavy with anticipation. That evening, the air inside the grand halls was electric, charged with a tension so palpable that it seemed to press against every gilded wall, every ornate chandelier. For once, the usual rhythm of royal protocol, the murmurs of staff and the echo of footsteps across marble floors had been replaced by a silence that was almost alive. Every member of the royal family sat rigidly around a single, imposing table, their eyes locked on a plain, unassuming envelope that held within it the last and most significant words of Queen Elizabeth II, her final will. This was no ordinary legal document. It was a record of a 70-year reign, a repository of immense wealth, countless treasures, and centuries of accumulated tradition. But more than that, it was a carefully crafted blueprint for the monarchy's future, a reflection of her wisdom, foresight, and the delicate balance she had maintained between duty and family for decades. In that envelope rested not just estates and jewels, but guidance, expectations, and the subtle shaping of legacy itself. Then, unexpectedly, Prince Andrew was chosen to open and read the will aloud. The decision sent whispers through the room. Many had assumed that King Charles, as heir to the throne, or Princess Anne, the dutiful daughter who had long embodied the Queen's ideals, would perform this solemn duty. Yet here was Andrew, stepping forward into the center of the room, bearing a responsibility that few had anticipated. His hands trembled slightly as he lifted the envelope, the wax seal glinting faintly under the soft chandelier light. When he broke the seal, the sound was almost imperceptible, yet it seemed to echo like a thunderclap through the hushed palace. The moment had begun, and with it, a series of revelations that would forever alter the air of Buckingham Palace. As Andrew read, every word seemed to carry its own weight, resonating far beyond the simple phrasing of a will. Expressions of gratitude, recognition of loyalty, and personal messages intended for each child unfolded like a tapestry, weaving together the Queen's authority, her foresight, and her enduring care for her family. Even the expected bequests, such as Windsor Castle for Charles and acknowledgments of Anne's steadfast dedication, contained subtle undertones, quiet reminders that the Queen's influence stretched beyond the grave, shaping the present while guiding the future. Each pause, each carefully chosen phrase, demanded reflection, pulling the family and the room itself into a profound, almost reverential stillness. In that charged silence, it became clear this was more than inheritance. It was the Queen's final act of leadership, leaving a lasting mark on Buckingham Palace, her family, and the very institution she had spent a lifetime shaping. Prince Andrew holds in his hands the long-awaited final will of Queen Elizabeth. But what secrets and surprises does it contain? Will it bring the royal family closer together, or spark divisions that could last for generations? Let's find out. Balmoral, legacy, and unforeseen surprises. The room seemed to hold its breath when the most unexpected revelation of the evening was announced. Balmoral would not be passed down to a single heir, as centuries of royal tradition had dictated. Instead, the Queen had chosen to make this cherished Scottish retreat a shared inheritance for the entire family. For decades, Balmoral had stood as a private sanctuary, a place where the Queen had celebrated joyous occasions, mourned losses, and sought quiet reflection away from the relentless public eye. It was steeped in history, brimming with personal memories, and carefully tended as a place of peace and connection. To hear that it would now belong equally to all her children was a shock, a decision that shattered expectations and subtly redefined the very idea of royal inheritance. By deliberately breaking with long-established tradition, the Queen sent a message that transcended property or wealth. She reminded her family, most profoundly and tangibly, that unity and cohesion were more important than hierarchy or protocol. Personal differences, past disputes, and private disagreements were meant to be set aside in favor of a stronger, united family. Balmoral was no longer just a physical space. It became a symbol, a living testament to the Queen's vision of enduring connection and shared responsibility. The surprises did not stop there. Catherine, quietly observing the proceedings, received the historic Vladimir tiara, a crown jewel of the royal collection. Elegant, timeless, and laden with centuries of history, the tiara represented grace, continuity, and the weight of legacy she was expected to uphold. Her expression remained calm, but those who looked closely could detect the flicker of recognition and awe in her eyes, a silent acknowledgement of the honor and responsibility now entrusted to her. Meanwhile, Harry, long estranged from active royal duties, was given the silver box of King George VI, a treasure containing letters filled with wisdom, guidance, and personal reflections from the monarch's past. To many, it was a startling gesture, a reminder that despite distance or disagreement, family bonds could not be ignored. Each gift, whether Balmoral, the tiara, or the silver box, carried more than material value. They were messages, calls to duty, and symbols of reflection, meant to inspire moral responsibility and reinforce the importance of family cohesion. The Queen's final act of generosity and foresight made clear that her inheritance was about far more than wealth. It was a challenge, a lesson, and a call to uphold the unity and honor of the monarchy for generations to come. The Queen's final words carried a message of duty and family unity. But is that all her will holds? Or are there more surprises waiting to be uncovered by Andrew? Now, let's explore the Queen's final gifts, Royal Secrets Unveiled. As Prince Andrew continued reading, the full scope of the Queen's intentions began to unfold, revealing not only the distribution of estates and heirlooms, but also the intricate web of guidance and expectations she had carefully woven for her family. Each bequest carried meaning far beyond property. It was a message, a reflection of duty, and a test of character. For Edward, the gift of Bagshot Park was more than just a residence. It was a recognition of his quiet, steadfast service to the crown. Unlike the more public roles of his siblings, Edward had remained largely in the background, supporting the monarchy without seeking attention or praise. By entrusting him with Bagshot Park, the Queen was signaling her confidence in his loyalty and underscoring the importance of those who work diligently, often unseen, to uphold the family's legacy. Princess Anne, ever the pillar of strength, inherited Sandringham, a property deeply entwined with the rhythms and traditions of royal life. Her inheritance was both a practical acknowledgement of her steadfast presence and a symbolic reminder of her role as a stabilizing force within the family. Anne's calm, composed demeanor remained intact as she absorbed the significance, a quiet testament to her lifelong commitment to duty over drama. Perhaps the most unexpected and poignant gesture came with Harry, who, despite his years of estrangement and controversial decisions, was entrusted with the ceremonial sword of King George VI. This was no ordinary gift. The sword was a symbol of continuity, royal duty, and the weight of history, a tangible link to the monarchy's past. By including Harry, the Queen sent a powerful message. Distance and disagreement could not sever family ties, and the responsibility of heritage transcended personal choices. It was a subtle call for reconciliation, a reminder that unity could still be pursued, even amid past tensions. The reactions in the room spoke volumes. King Charles maintained a carefully composed exterior, but the tightening of his jaw and the subtle stiffness in his posture betrayed the tension he felt. William wrestled with his own inner conflict, balancing loyalty, judgment, and a sense of fairness, while Catherine's barely perceptible nods conveyed recognition and respect for the weight of the Queen's decisions. Anne remained steadfastly pragmatic, embodying the calm wisdom that had long defined her role. Meanwhile, Harry's inclusion seemed to signal both continuity and the faint possibility of healing fractured bonds. In the end, the Queen's bequests were never solely about property or wealth. Each inheritance carried a dual purpose. It was a material gift and a moral challenge, a call to uphold family unity and the enduring principles of the monarchy. In that room, as Andrew's voice echoed through the palace halls, it became abundantly clear that Queen Elizabeth II's final act of leadership was as deliberate and influential as any decision she had made in her 70-year reign, shaping the monarchy's future in profound, lasting ways. The Queen's gifts were more than possessions. They shaped family unity and responsibility. But will her intentions truly hold the royal family together? Beyond the will, what subtle moves did she make to ensure her vision of unity would live on? Let's uncover the details. A beacon of unity beyond the palace walls, while the reading of her last will lay bare the intimate and familial dimensions of her remarkable legacy. Queen Elizabeth II's influence stretched far beyond the gilded halls of Buckingham Palace. To millions around the world, she was not merely a monarch confined to ceremonial duties or inherited privilege. She was a symbol of stability, continuity, and above all, unity. Her reign, spanning over 7 decades, was defined not only by the accumulation of authority, but by her ability to connect people across continents, cultures, and generations, fostering a sense of shared purpose among those who looked to her for guidance. Observers and historians alike have long marveled at the Queen's extraordinary impartiality. She had a rare talent for rising above political partisanship and nationalistic rivalries, embodying the values that could bridge even the widest divides. Whether it was within the complex fabric of the United Kingdom or among the diverse nations of the Commonwealth, including Canada, her leadership was guided by a clear moral compass. She never allowed personal preference or favoritism to interfere with the greater good. Instead, she consistently set an example of fairness and discretion, making sure her influence united rather than divided, uplifted rather than constrained. Her commitment to service extended beyond symbolic gestures. Every public engagement, diplomatic meeting, or ceremonial event reflected her unwavering dedication to connecting with people on a personal level, recognizing their concerns and upholding the dignity of the office she held. Her words, demeanor, and actions collectively conveyed that true leadership was not measured by power alone, but by responsibility, empathy, and vision. In every interaction, she demonstrated a restraint and self-discipline that inspired respect, loyalty, and admiration, not through force or authority, but through the steady example of her character. For the nations of the Commonwealth, she was more than a figurehead. She was a stabilizing force, a unifying presence in times of uncertainty, and a bridge between diverse peoples. Her influence reminded the world that monarchy could serve a purpose beyond wealth, titles, and protocol. It could cultivate a shared identity, foster mutual respect, and encourage collaboration across borders. Queen Elizabeth II's leadership was a lesson in longevity, vision, and moral clarity. Her impact was not confined to her lifetime. It reached far into the future, shaping institutions, inspiring leaders, and touching millions of ordinary lives. As her final will demonstrated her concern for family and legacy, it is equally true that her global influence, her ability to unite, guide, and uplift, remains one of her most enduring and remarkable gifts to the world. Queen Elizabeth's legacy went far beyond wealth, uniting nations, guiding generations, and inspiring admiration worldwide. But how will royal family carry the weight of this unprecedented legacy? Now, let's dive into how her last words entrusted the next generation with wisdom to shape the future of the monarchy. The Queen's final charge, beyond the distribution of estates, heirlooms, and tangible possessions, Queen Elizabeth II's final words carried a weight far greater than any material inheritance. Her will was a carefully crafted moral blueprint, a roadmap for the future, designed not merely to divide wealth, but to guide, inspire, and challenge her family long after she was gone. The responsibility she bestowed extended beyond palaces and jewelry. It was about shaping character, nurturing unity, and ensuring that the monarchy endured through times of change. The youngest generation, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and little Prince Louis, were entrusted with more than treasures. They received wisdom, guidance, and a sense of purpose. Gifts meant to teach them the values that had guided the Queen throughout her 7-decade reign. Catherine and William felt the gravity of this moment acutely. The continuity of the monarchy, its traditions, and its moral foundation now rested, in part, upon their shoulders. It was not just a family legacy they were inheriting. It was a responsibility to uphold the ideals and principles their grandmother had spent a lifetime defending. The Queen's instructions went beyond inheritance. They were a call for cohesion. She implored her family to rise above divisions, to prioritize unity over conflict, and to understand that the monarchy's true strength lay not in titles or lands, but in the relationships, service, and resilience that bound them together. Every member of the family, Charles, William, Anne, Catherine, and Harry, was confronted with the weight of expectation in their own way. Some met it with solemn reflection, others with quiet resolve. But each was reminded that their personal choices would ripple through the fabric of the monarchy for generations. Her will was not a mere legal formality. It was a final lesson in leadership, a challenge, and a vision. Every bequest, every carefully chosen word, was imbued with intention, a message that the monarchy was more than an institution of power. It was a living, breathing family bound by history, duty, and shared purpose. Buckingham Palace, in that tense and hushed moment, experienced more than a reading. It felt the reverberations of a legacy deliberately designed to endure. The Queen's influence stretched beyond her life, reminding everyone present that the strength of the monarchy was intertwined with the unity and integrity of the family itself. In the heavy silence that settled over the room, it became unmistakably clear. The Queen's final will was far more than a simple distribution of wealth or property. It was a carefully crafted blueprint for the future, a guiding moral compass, and a profound challenge to uphold the high standards set by one of history's most iconic monarchs. Her last act was more than a farewell. It was a call to responsibility, a vision for continuity, and a powerful reminder that the monarchy's survival would rely on the wisdom, character, and unity of those entrusted to carry her extraordinary legacy forward. So, what do you think about the Queen's last will? Could it truly bring unity to the royal family? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.